In his first TV interview about this, I spoke from London with Piers, whose new Fox Nation show, Piers Morgan Uncensored, launches tomorrow on our site and in the UK. Piers Morgan, welcome.
Thank you, Harry. Good to talk to you.
You will not be shocked to hear that Donald Trump has already hit back on you, calling this a fake interview in which you were rigging and redoing his words. I don't believe Piers is a complete slimeball, he said. He gave you that, but he's lost a lot of credibility. I think you'd probably like to respond.
You know, he's issued two statements so far. The second one saying I'm not a complete slimeball. I think you're either a slimeball or you're not. So I'm taking that as a win. Look, none of this surprises me. I've known Donald Trump a long time, since I won his Celebrity Apprentice show. I was in that boardroom night after night. I know what he can be like. He's very thin-skinned and actually quite thick-skinned as well. He's a weird hybrid.
Do you really believe that Donald Trump, who watches the media like a hawk, didn't know that you had said many of these harsh things, and then just minutes before you were supposed to start, has an aide hand you this list and included such things as he's a supreme narcissist, he morphed into a monster, utterly contemptible, acted like a mafia boss, and a day after January 6th should be removed from office? Do you think that was all news to Trump and then he confronted you about it?
Well, first of all, I stand by everything I wrote at the time. I meant it then, I mean it now. That I thought it was legitimate criticism. I've also been, as you know, very supportive of him when others have been baying for his blood. As to what he knew, it was interesting because he unfollowed me on Twitter rather famously early on in the pandemic when I attacked him. Now cut forward to Mar-a-Lago, and he was feigning complete ignorance of any of my more savage critiques, and I just don't believe it could have been news to him. But he certainly
what was it like?
What
was it like sitting there?
Brand new to him.
You say he was very angry and yelling at you?
It was uncomfortable, I have to say. I mean, yeah, I've never seen him like that. He was very angry, quite profane in parts, and he was reading out these things one by one and saying, how can you say this about me? This is so disloyal after all I've done for you. I said, look, I didn't agree with what you were doing. When we got round to the election result and to January 6th,
you told him he lost.
I just looked him straight in the eye. I said, look, I just want to be clear with you. I do not agree that you had this election stolen or that it was rigged. And at that point, the fuse kind of went with him, and he started insulting me. He called me a fool 7 times. I was very respectful back. I accepted if he wanted to call me that, that's fine, but it wasn't going to change my mind. And I said, look, you know, as a journalist, I've read everything, and I've not seen the hard evidence that you keep saying exists to prove that election was rigged or stolen from you. And until I do, I'm just not going to believe that it was stolen or rigged. He couldn't accept that. He has a kind of blind, pathological belief that it was taken from him. He's entitled to that opinion, but be under no illusion that these statements that say this all ended in a really cozy way, and then at the end, I thanked him and I shook his hand, which is completely true, but then he just got up, barked at our cameras, turned the camera off, and then he just walked off. And as he walked off, he muttered loudly, and we have all this on film, so dishonest
right,
about me.
But Piers,
and I just thought that was rude and churlish, and I felt that that constituted a walkout, actually.
But Piers, I've listened to the audio put out by the Trump team of those final moments, and however ticked off the former president may have been, you know, he thanked you, you thanked him, you said great interview. It didn't sound like he was storming off in anger.
He doesn't thank me. He doesn't thank me. And when you actually see the audio's a bit grainy, and you can't really hear a lot of what's going on at the end. I can tell you in the room, I was shocked by the way that ended. I was shocked that he got up and barked at the cameraman, turned the camera off. I was shocked that he then marched off and was muttering loudly, so dishonest at me. I've never had that experience with him before. So people can play semantics with what a walk-off is or what anger it looks like. I can tell you, he was angry and he was fired up, and he had been for the last 10-15 minutes of that interview, and before it started he'd been shouting at me. So I think this idea it was all a cozy chat between two friends is extremely disingenuous, and when people see it all in context, which we will show, I wrote a big piece about this for the New York Post in which I articulated exactly what went down, and I didn't claim it was some ferocious screaming storming off. I just said that actually right at the end he got up, barked, turned the cameras off, and called me dishonest and walked away. Now Now, you can call that what you like. I've never experienced that with him before. He's always been a lot more friendly than that, and the catalyst for what it was my refusal to believe that he had that election stolen from him. But for those who like Donald Trump, for Fox viewers